Hi all, so Thursday's racing carries on in a similarly exciting vein to what we've had over the last couple of weeks. It seems there's action plenty everywhere you look at the minute. We've got Newmarket's July meeting, 3-day meeting of the highest quality, and also York's Dante meeting on Thursday, and there's a couple of interesting races there. In terms of actual advised bets, the first one comes in the 3 o'clock at Newmarket, which is the 2-year-old July Stakes over 6 furlongs, where there's a couple of really nice progressive 2-year-olds, a couple that, or certainly one that did us a favourite, Royal Ascot, in the shape of Tactical, and one or two other likely types in there, including Aidan O'Brien sending one over. But it's a horse who's the outsider of the bunch here at 33 to 1 that I think is worth a few quid each way, called Rebel at Dawn for Carl Burke, who's had 2 starts. First one came at Newcastle when a bit green, but ran on nicely into second. And then won a race at Doncaster Road for 5 furlongs when being slightly disadvantaged by where he raced on the track and having to make the running. He looked like a horse that would appreciate a step up to 6 furlongs and a bit of cut in the ground, which I think there'll be because there's some rain forecast. And I think he can massively outrun those odds of 33 to 1. I think just because he's been racing in 2 fairly low quality races, he's been slightly forgotten about, whereas all the others have been pitched into deeper races. I think he is a very high quality horse in the making. So that's Rebel at Dawn in the July Stakes at 3 o'clock at Newmarket. It's 33 to 1 with Bet365. The next race on that card is the 335, which is the fiendish 3-year-old 6 furlong Bet365 handicap, which is a high quality event year on year. Features a big field, 20 odd runners. They'll be spread out all across the July course, and it's 2 horses that I like that are drawn high, so they'll be over towards that far rail. Hopefully that's the place to be. You usually need to be on one of the rails or the other. Dancing in the Street is 7 to 2. She's very, very short, but I think she'll be incredibly tough to beat off the back of 2 really eye-catching runs so far this year. The second one came at Royal Ascot behind Art Power, who has gone on to win a group race over in Ireland since. And with a clear run through, she'd have been a clear second that day, and maybe even got close to Art Power, the favourite on that occasion. She'll appreciate the step up to 6 furlongs. I think whatever you do in the race, you need to have a saver on her. So at 7 to 2, have a couple of quid on her. But I like Brad the Breath, who is actually drawn in the stall next to Dancing in the Street. Tom Dascombe's sprinter has won at Newmarket on soft ground last back end on the Rowley Mile. He's had 2 runs so far this year at Haydock. One was a really competitive, hard-fought win over 6 furlongs. And then the second one came 4 days ago on Sunday when it was in a conditions race, and he finished a close-up third behind 2 older horses who were higher rated as well. So I think he's potentially a few pounds ahead of his mark. He'll like the soft ground, he likes the course. There's a lot to like about the 12 to 1 each way for Brad the Breath with William Hill, drawn next to the likely favourite Dancing in the Street. Over to York then for the Dante itself. Obviously highest ground will be popular with many. 2 runs, 2 wins, lightly raced improver obviously for Sir Michael Stout. He's the right favourite without a doubt. He'll be tough to beat, but I really like the claims at 15 to 2 of Thunderous with Paddy Power. He's 15 to 2, Mark Johnston's Thunderous, who chased home Vulcan Star at Newmarket a couple of weekends ago in what was a very, very quick time. He'll appreciate any rain because he's a winner on very soft ground last back end of the season. And I think at 15 to 2 each way with the 6 runners, you've got a safety net there of the runner-up spot if the favourite does prove to be as high quality as he looks. But I do like Thunderous at 15 to 2 there. There's a couple in the race after that actually over at York as well, which I quite liked the look of. I haven't put them in the column itself. But the 345 is a 1 mile and 2 furlong handicap where there's a couple of horses that are overpriced here. Delft Crescent and Music Seeker. If you can get anywhere around 20 to 1 about each of those, it's a nice race, shape of the race each way. So that's in the 345 at York, Delft Crescent and Music Seeker. They're both overpriced. So there we go, full rundown. Newmarket then, July Stakes. Over at Newmarket at 3 o'clock, we're going to go for Rebel at Dawn at 33 to 1 with Bet365. Then in the Bet365 handicap, the race after at 3:35, Dancing in the Street, a 7 to 2 saver, and also Brad the Brief at 12 to 1. And then the 3:15 Dante Stakes over at York, Thunderous 15 to 2 each way. And then a couple of bigger price stabs in the 3:45 over at York in the shape of Music Seeker and Delft Crescent. So enjoy your Thursday. Have a good day. Bye.